All right, let's saddle up and hit the trail. Get ready to ride into the sunset because today we're revisiting Gunsmoke, the epic Western saga often hailed as America's own epic tale. Spanning 2 decades from 1955 to 1975, Gunsmoke, originally a radio series, became a staple of television entertainment for families across the nation. Although the TV adaptation faced cancellation in 1967, a surprising endorsement from President Lyndon B. Johnson prompted CBS to reconsider. The decision to move the show from Saturdays to Mondays had unintended consequences, leading to the demise of Gilligan's Island. Now let's turn back the clock and see where the cast of Gunsmoke has been since those early days. Milbourne Stone as Doc. The physician is present, Dr. Adams to be precise. Someone had to mend our resilient protagonists after all the altercations they encountered or incited. Doc was a cantankerous fellow who remained on the series for most of its duration. Stone hails from a lineage of artists. His relative is character actress Madge Blake, who portrayed Mrs. Cooper in nearly 100 episodes of Adam West's Batman. Authored, indeed, 2 episodes of Gunsmoke, Baker's Dozen in '67 and The Fugitives in '72. Now envision Doc in a barbershop quartet, as that's precisely where Stone commenced his career before venturing to Broadway. Gunsmoke stardom arrived quite late in his career and life, so Stone vigorously negotiated with CBS to ensure he received proper compensation. All that insistence paid dividends. Stone remained committed to the series until its conclusion in '75. Thereafter, he was finally able to retire and relish the rewards of his hard work. Although it's sorrowful to acknowledge, his retirement lasted only 5 years before Stone passed away at 70, hence why Doc was absent from any of the Gunsmoke reunion films. Amanda Blake as Kitty. A bustling hub of activity, the saloon plays host to much of the town's affairs, and that's where Miss Kitty Russell comes into the picture. For nearly 2 decades, Blake portrayed the beloved, fiery-haired character with a heart of gold. Miss Kitty's dynamic with Matt Dillon formed one of the earliest and longest-running will-they-won't-they relationships, so much so that the show often poked fun at it. Amanda Blake's portrayal was so iconic that she was honored with induction into the Hall of Great Western Performers at the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum. In 1957, Blake made a guest appearance as Betty LaVon Coate in the episode titled Coat of Many Colors on Rod Cameron's crime drama, State Trooper. Following a Gunsmoke reunion film, she ventured into 2 feature film roles. The Boost, a drama revolving around drug addiction starring James Woods and Sean Young, and BORN, both in 1988. Her personal life was marked by a series of marriages, but it was during her 3rd marriage that our saloon owner gained fame for, of all things, successfully breeding cheetahs in captivity, a pioneering effort. In fact, Blake transitioned into semi-retirement early to dedicate herself to animal welfare. Sadly, her own health declined, and she passed away in 1989 at the age of 60. Glenn Strange as Sam. Time to relax and unwind after a long day in Dodge. Who better to find behind the bar than Sam Noonan, the trusted bartender? Sam, known for his calm demeanor, made his first appearance in Season 6 and remained on the show until his passing in 1973 at the age of 74. In a town filled with gunfights and barroom scuffles, having a steady voice of reason like Sam was essential. With his wealth of experience, Sam had seen it all. That's what made Strange the perfect fit for the role, and he also delivered a memorable performance as the villainous Butch Cavendish in The Lone Ranger. Throughout his extensive career, Strange graced the screen in over 300 projects, but his most iconic role was undoubtedly monstrous. With his distinctive facial features and towering height of 6 feet 5 inches, Strange was the quintessential Frankenstein's monster in House of Frankenstein, 1944, House of Dracula, 1945, and Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, 1948. He even received guidance from horror legend Boris Karloff, who originated the role in 1931. Their partnership became legendary, so much so that when Karloff passed away, the New York Times mistakenly featured a picture of Glenn Strange as Frankenstein's monster instead of Karloff. Despite Strange's passing in 1973, his Gunsmoke co-star Buck Taylor honored his memory by naming his son after him, ensuring that his legacy would endure. That's when a cast truly becomes like family. James Aress as Matt Dillon. Wait a minute. Let's discuss the Marshal of Dodge City, Matt Dillon, the embodiment of justice. He underwent significant development throughout Gunsmoke. Initially, Aress modeled the Marshal after his radio counterpart, but since Gunsmoke held the title of America's longest-running action show until Law and Order, Aress had ample opportunity to shape the character into his own. Marshal Dillon understood that his role would entail violence and sorrow, yet he never compromised his sense of compassion and equity. Even as he sought peaceful resolutions, Dillon remained willing to take decisive action when necessary. It was this balance that made him both relatable and admirable. Aress himself was equally determined to achieve his goals. Following his recovery from serious injuries sustained overseas in WT, he hitchhiked his way to California, where he began exploring opportunities with agencies and casting calls. He swiftly established himself as a prominent figure in the Western genre and formed a close bond with none other than John Wayne himself. In fact, Wayne personally recommended Aress for the role of Dillon. While many of us recognize him primarily as the Marshal of Dodge City, audiences in Europe first knew Aress as the character Zeb in How the West Was Won, which attained cult status across Western Europe. Despite being a Minnesota native, Aress seamlessly adapted to life in California, with surfing becoming one of his favorite pastimes. Beach enthusiasts often spotted the 6'1" Marshal Matt Dillon hanging up his holsters to catch some waves. Aress had the rare privilege of portraying Marshal Dillon across 5 decades, from 1955 to 1975 for the weekly series, and reprising the role for TV movies in the 80s and 90s. His dedication earned him a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a fitting tribute to the late icon who passed away in 2011 at the age of 88. Bert Reynolds as Quint. We can't overlook Bert, who portrayed Quint Aspen, the mixed-race blacksmith renowned for his prowess in combat, even without a firearm. He was a fixture in the Dodge community for seasons 8 to 10, and although it's unnecessary to mention, Bert delivered memorable performances in movies like Smokey and the Bandit and Deliverance, among others. During college, Reynolds was known for his striking appearance. "He was so handsome I used him as a lure," reminisced college roommate Lee Corso. "He'd stroll across campus and return with 2 girls, one stunning and one plain. I ended up with the plain one. His plain girlfriends were better than anyone I could attract on my own." Reynolds was wed to English actress Judy Carne from 1963 to 1965. He cohabitated with actress Miko Mayama from 1968 to 1971. His romantic involvement with American singer-actress Dinah Shore, who was 20 years his senior, lasted from early 1971 until 1975. In the mid-1970s, Reynolds had a brief romance with singer Tammy Wynette. From 1976 to 1980, with intermittent periods until 1982, he was involved with American actress Sally Field, during which they co-starred in 4 films together. In 2016, he regarded Field as the love of his life. Reynolds passed away in 2018 at the age of 82. Howard Culver as Howie. Howard Culver, best remembered as the affable hotel clerk, Howie Uzzell, throughout the entire duration of TV's Gunsmoke. Culver was raised in Los Angeles, where he began his acting career on CBS while still a teenager. Serving in the Navy for 3 years during World War II, he later resumed his acting pursuits, appearing on various radio programs based in San Francisco and Hollywood. In 1948, he portrayed Ellery Queen in the final radio adaptation of The Adventures of Ellery Queen. Additionally, he starred alongside Mercedes McCambridge as reporter Judd Barnes on ABC's Defense Attorney, 1951-52. Considerable information about Culver and his work on Straight Arrow was disseminated through the newsletter Pow Wow, edited by William and Teresa Harper of North Augusta, South Carolina. Apart from his regular role on Gunsmoke, Culver made numerous guest appearances on television series such as Dragnet, Adam 12, and Chips. His film credits included portraying a newscaster in Hal Ashby's Shampoo, 1975. Tragically, on August 5, 1984, while vacationing in Hong Kong, Culver passed away at the age of 66 after contracting meningitis. Roger Ewing as Thad. When Ewing became part of the Gunsmoke ensemble, significant disputes arose between lead actor James Aress and CBS regarding Arness's salary and his stake in the television series. CBS, perceiving the necessity for change, introduced Ewing's character as a potential replacement for Aress. Ewing embarked on his acting journey in 1964, debuting in the film Ensign Pulver, where he portrayed the character Jackson. Additionally, he made guest appearances on various television shows including Rawhide, The Farmer's Daughter, Bewitched, The 11th Hour, and Room 222. In 1965, Ewing made his television debut on Gunsmoke, featuring in the episode Song for Dying. Impressed by Ewing's performance on Gunsmoke, the producers extended an offer for him to join the regular cast, portraying the character Clayton Thaddeus Greenwood, known as Thad Greenwood. Ewing, a dedicated fan of Gunsmoke since his high school days at Los Angeles High School in Los Angeles, California, watched the show religiously every Saturday night. In his senior year of high school, Ewing had the honor of portraying Marshal Matt Dillon's dependable partner, Clayton Thad Greenwood. Buck Taylor as Newly. There are few individuals we'd rather avoid crossing than Newly O'Brien. He wasn't just any deputy, he was formerly a gunsmith, well-versed in firearms. Buck Taylor was no stranger to Westerns, but fans of Dallas may also recognize him as Detective Bussey. In 1987, he returned to Dodge, quite literally in Gunsmoke. Returned to Dodge. However, this time around, he portrayed the city's marshal. Quite the promotion. But beneath this rugged exterior of a gunsmith-turned-deputy-turned-marshal lies a softer side. Surprisingly, he's an artist. Since 1993, he has been selling his artwork. From 2018 to 2020, he portrayed Emmett Walsh on Yellowstone. Taylor attended the Chouinard Art Institute and has been selling his watercolor and acrylic paintings featuring cowboys, Native Americans, and horses since 1993. Many of his paintings depict characters and scenes from the movies and television series in which he has appeared. These images are reproduced into prints available in various sizes. He's currently 85 years old. Dabs Greer as Jonas. With nearly a century of film roles and appearances in nearly 600 television episodes across various series, Greer might be best recalled as regular character Mr. Jonas in Gunsmoke. Greer made his film debut as an extra in the 1938 movie Jesse James, primarily shot around Pineville, Missouri. Recalling his experience to the Neo-Show Daily News in 2002, he remarked, "They were paying $5 a day, to local folks for being extras. That was really good money back then, more than we had seen in a while." From 1992 to 1996, he tended to the spiritual needs of the townsfolk in the fictional Rome, Wisconsin, as Reverend Henry Novotny in Picket Fences. He also made a guest appearance on an episode of Charles in Charge as Buzz Powell. In the May 9, 1991 episode of L.A. Law, titled On the Toad Again, Greer portrayed a character addicted to a high produced by licking the skin secretions of psychoactive toads. In the 1997 film Con Air, Greer was featured as the elderly man discovered hiding beneath a pickup truck at Lerner Field. While most of Greer's nearly 700 movie and television appearances were in supporting roles, He shared with the Albany Times-Union in a 2000 interview that every character actor in their own little sphere is the lead. Greer passed away on April 28, 2007, at Huntington Hospital in Pasadena from kidney failure and heart disease. Dennis Weaver as Chester. Every sheriff needs a trusted deputy, and Matt Dillon had Chester Good by his side. A loyal companion and ally, Weaver's Chester had a noticeable limp. Why? Because Weaver bore too much resemblance to the main character, even alongside James Aress. It's said that they added a rock to his boot to make his limp more convincing. Dennis Weaver remained with the series for 9 years before feeling creatively stifled. Weaver feared he'd forever be typecast. Finally, in 1964, he discarded the limp and transitioned from a supporting role to a leading one in NBC's Kentucky Jones. Though short-lived, the show provided Weaver with a taste of success and the freedom he longed for. In 1971, he starred in Steven Spielberg's TV film Duel and took on the titular role in McCloud from 1970 to 1977. Weaver was an advocate for the environment, championing the use of alternative fuels like hydrogen and wind power through the Institute of Economics, a non-profit environmental organization he founded in 1993 in Berthoud, Colorado. Economics is a blend of ecology and economics. He advocated for environmental stewardship until his passing in 2006 at the age of 81. Hank Patterson as Hank. Hank Patterson is most recognized for his portrayal of 2 recurring roles across 3 TV shows, stable hand Hank Miller on Gunsmoke. Patterson made his debut in 1963 in a recurring part as Farmer Fred Ziffel on the beloved CBS sitcom Petticoat Junction. Then, in 1965, CBS introduced another rural comedy, Green Acres. The connection between Patterson's character and the beloved Arnold, the household pig treated as a son by Fred and his wife Doris, secures Patterson a lasting place in television lore. Arnold attended school, watched television, and showcased talents as an artist, pianist, and actor. He even communicated in a unique language understood by everyone in Hooterville except Oliver Wendell Douglas. Hank Patterson passed away at 86 on August 23, 1975, due to bronchial pneumonia. He was laid to rest in Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Hollywood. Daisy, his spouse, also passed at 86 on February 2, 1979. Patterson's niece is actress Téa Leoni. Charles Wagenheim as Halligan. Charles Wagenheim made his appearance in 1966 as Dodge Townsman Halligan in Episode 2 of Season 12 titled Gold Takers and in Episode 5 titled The Good People of the TV Western series Gunsmoke. His career in film spans various roles, notably in numerous Westerns from the 1930s to the 1950s. His final television credit came on March 25, 1979, in an episode titled The Return of Stephanie's Father as part of the series Arcibaldo, portraying the character Bum. In his filmography, his last known performance was in the 1976 movie Missouri. He passed away in Hollywood on March 6, 1979, a victim of a thief who fatally wounded him during a burglary at his residence. His remains were cremated. Ken Curtis as Festus. Festus Hagen stepped in as a structural substitute when Chester Good left. Hagen brought a different dynamic to the deputy role, camaraderie and wit. The rugged yet clumsy partner provided ample entertainment with his verbal sparring matches with Doc Adams. "You old scudder." Curtis and Aress had ample time to connect early on, as Curtis had various roles in Gunsmoke before settling into Hagen permanently in Season 8. Among the Marshal's 5 deputies, Festus held the position the longest, wearing his floppy hat proudly for a remarkable 11 years. Following Gunsmoke, Curtis ventured into more Westerns, including The Yellow Rose, led by Sam Elliott in 1983. If you haven't caught that nighttime drama, give it a watch. It boasts an impressive ensemble cast. He continued acting until his passing at the age of 74 in 1991, but his legacy lives on in a Festus Hagen statue in Clovis, California, where Curtis spent his later years. It's been an incredible journey back to Dodge. The unforgettable gunfights, gripping conversations, and profound connections we experienced through this iconic Western series will stay with us. Who stood out as your beloved character in this timeless tale? Is there a particular episode that left a lasting impression on you? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below.